Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shab. After massive peaceful gatherings to draw attention to the plight of minorities in Bangladesh, a crackdown is taking place there. A monk who raised demands through peaceful gatherings and highlighted attacks on Hindus by radical Islamic forces, Chinmoy Krishna Das. He was arrested and was produced in court and later denied bail. India, in the meanwhile, has expressed deep concerns over the treatment of minorities in Bangladesh.
As a court in Chittagong rejected the bail plea of Hindu priest Chinmoy Krishna Das Brahmachari across the border, the BJP in West Bengal protested outside the Legislative Assembly in Kolkata. Chinmoy Krishna Das has been at the forefront of the movement to protect minorities, mainly Hindus, in Bangladesh as radical Islamic forces attack minorities.
Radical forces are working in Bangladesh. I appeal all the Hindus around the world should come together and protect the existence of Hindus in Bangladesh. It's not only the protest, it's our fight for survival of the Hindus in Bangladesh.
India expressed deep concern, saying denial of bail came after attacks on Hindus. Extremists are attacking Hindus and other minorities in Bangladesh. Vandalism and desecration of deities and temples is happening in Bangladesh. Unfortunate that perpetrators of these incidents still remain at large. Chinmoy Krishna Das was arrested in Dhaka and taken to Chattogram, where he was produced before the Chittagong Sessions Judge Court after being charged under what has been termed as false sedition charges by human rights groups.
Mr. Chinmoy demand the different discrimination, 8 points demand. It is the main discrimination prevailing in Bangladesh on the minority people. He is in the custody of detective branch. Yesterday, he is arrested from Dhaka airport. We, Bangladesh Hindu Buddha Christian Unity Council, condemned the arrest of Chinmoy Krishna. We demand his immediate release from the custody. It is and his detention. It is illegal.
Radharaman Das, who has been advocating for Chinmoy Krishna Das's release, says Hindu groups protesting against the monk's arrest were also attacked.
Chinmoy Krishna Das Prabhu has become the face of Bangladeshi protest. We know that for last more than 100 days now, the minorities of Bangladesh has been attacked. Their women getting raped and kidnapped. And in this situation, the Bangladeshi minorities, they gathered together, and Chinmoy Krishna Das became the face of the protest. And we know that the Bangladeshi government is trying to somehow indict different people who have become the face of the protest.
Bangladesh has spiraled into a situation of attacks on minorities since the ouster of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, and critics of the interim government under Mohammad Yunus have accused him of paying lip service only when it comes to the safety and security of minorities. International attention is also now focused on the situation in Bangladesh, and in neighboring West Bengal, protests have been planned along the border with Bangladesh to draw attention to the plight of Hindus in the country. With camera person G.D. Shankar in Kolkata, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
Meanwhile, after India's condemnation, Bangladesh has reacted. Dhaka has justified the arrest of the Hindu priest, saying that the priest was held on specific charges. It also said that the arrest has been misconstrued by some. The government says that it is committed to upholding harmony. Earlier, Mohammad Yunus had also raised concerns over the killing of advocate in Chattogram. And Pakistan's capital Islamabad is under lockdown as the country faces political turmoil as thousands of jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan's supporters demanding his release from prison reached the heart of Pakistan's capital today after battling police in clashes that killed 6 security personnel and injured dozens. Reports indicate that the Shehbaz Sharif government have asked the Pakistan army to intervene and ask who issued the shoot-at-sight orders under Section 245. Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has in fact blamed disruptive elements, is what he called, and said that who do not seek a revolution but instead seek bloodshed for the violence, while Imran Khan in the meanwhile has said that they will not back under the demands as met, claiming protesters were peaceful and were oppressed by the government. What is, according to you, the government's intention at the moment? Are we looking at a situation where it might come down to a shoot-at-sight order? Because the police has already issued an order like that. The Shehbaz Sharif government has intervened at the moment. But what is it that we are looking at the moment?
I think the government used since last night the deployment of military to take charge of Islamabad city and shoot at sight. But these are more of deterrence that they wanted the demonstrators to keep away, which have failed miserably, I think. But the good thing is that we haven't seen military in action as such at the front so far. It's been the police and the paramilitary rangers that have taken on the demonstrators as they enter the D Chowk. So I think the government doesn't want a clash between the army and the demonstrators at the moment. They are trying to maneuver as much as possible through their statements and let the PTI sit in this cold outside in the open and see how long they can prolong with their protest. But the PTI is calling on its workers all around the country to come to D Chowk because now that it's under their control, they can come. So it remains to be seen whether their numbers get to an extent where it becomes difficult for the government to run the business. The city is already for the last 3-4 days under a closure. I mean, businesses are shut and offices are shut, schools are shut. So it can't prolong for long. But we have seen 10 years back, if you remember, in 2014, the PTI in same time had more than 100 days long sit-in Islamabad in the same weather and in the same situation. So the PTI is quite confident. They have the experience in the past, so they have come, it seems, quite prepared this time. So they would I think it seems to be a long drawn war rather than something that we could see an end to in the next few days.
A year-long celebration to commemorate 75 years of adoption of the Constitution of India were kick-started with an event in the Parliament. But a war of words also erupted between the opposition India bloc and the government as the opposition demanded a 2-day discussion on the Constitution. The government hit back, saying let discussions take place in Parliament instead of disruptions. While the Samajwadi Party did not attend the Parliament event, they targeted the government over the deaths in Sambhal. A massive war of words has erupted as the India bloc has demanded a 2-day discussion on the 75th anniversary of the Constitution Day of India. Leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, hit out at the Prime Minister, stating that he has definitely not read the Constitution.
ये हिंदुस्तान का संविधान है। मैं आपको गारंटी देकर कह रहा हूं कि नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने इस किताब को नहीं पढ़ा है।
Gaurav Gogoi, K. Suresh and Manikam Tagore met the speaker as well with the same request.
See, today is a very special occasion where we are remembering the contribution of our constitution makers, and we just want to take this opportunity to allow in both houses all political parties to reaffirm their commitment to the Constitution. I think it's a very positive and constructive discussion, and the government should not have any concern regarding it.
The BJP and its allies have come down heavily on the India bloc. The Prime Minister has also hit out at the demands by the opposition.
पहले तो चर्चा के लिए तैयार होने दो, सबको वेल में आके तो चर्चा नहीं होता है ना, पहले तो ये निर्णय करे, हम सदन चलाते हैं तो बाद में जरूर चर्चा के लिए स्पीकर एग्री हो सकते हैं, स्पीकर का निर्णय, हमको तो इसमें बोलने के लिए कुछ नहीं है.
Union Minister and Lok Janashakti Party leader Chirag Paswan has also called the opposition out, saying that the Congress has never even put up a poster of B.R. Ambedkar.
They are the one who never even given respect to the one who made the Constitution, Dr. Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar. Not even a single picture till 1809, when repeatedly they had back-to-back their governments till then. Not even a single picture of his was there in the central hall, whereas n number of members coming from their party, their portrait were there inside the central hall. Three members from one family, their pictures were there in the central hall. So that's the kind of someone they have given to the Constitution and to the Nirmata of the Constitution, and they are talking about this by imposing emergency.
Aside from the blame game, the historic year-long celebrations to commemorate 75th year of the adoption of the Constitution of India were kick-started today under the campaign Hamara Samvidhan, Hamara Swabhiman. President Draupadi Murmu addressed a joint sitting of both houses of parliament marking the occasion.
हमारे संविधान में प्रत्येक नागरिक के मूल कर्तव्यों का स्पष्ट उल्लेख किया गया है. महिलाओं के सम्मान को सुनिश्चित करना, पर्यावरण की रक्षा करना.
The opposition was also given space on the days, but it did not stem the war of words over the event. With Aishwarya Jain, Bureau Report, NDTV. As far as the Maharashtra Game of Thrones is concerned, the big questions that remain: who will be the next Maharashtra Chief Minister? Will Eknath Shinde continue as Chief Minister? Meanwhile, is BJP pushing for Fadnavis as the Chief Minister? While the deadlock stays in Maharashtra, Amit Shah, he's likely to mediate and answer when will Maharashtra suspense end. Eknath Shinde, in the meanwhile, is set to continue as the caretaker Chief Minister. And the BJP MLAs, in the meanwhile, are pushing for Devendra Fadnavis to become the Chief Minister. Sources also tell us that Shiv Sena wants the Chief Minister chair to stay with Eknath Shinde.
देखिए, विपक्ष ये विफल है, वैफल्यग्रस्त स्थिति में, यानी उनका जो स्थिति है वो मानसिक रुग्ण के रूप में बनी है. वो अभी तक सहमे में है, सदमे में है कि क्या हुआ है. जब हारते हैं तो बोलते हैं ईवीएम खराब होगी, मशीन खराब होगी. आकलन करना चाहिए. उनके पास केवल झूठों का नैरेटिव है, झूठ कहेंगे, लेकिन महाराष्ट्र की जनता अभी महाराष्ट्र की जनता सच्चाई के साथ है, महायुति के साथ है. मैं जब भी कहा कि केंद्रीय नेतृत्व और महाराष्ट्र के तीनों नेता बैठकर फैसला करेंगे.
Time for a very short break. More news and updates on the other side. Welcome back. Delhi Chief Minister Atushi has alleged that few officers of the Revenue Department are trying to influence the upcoming elections in Delhi by removing the names of voters from the voters list on a large scale. She has also directed the Chief Secretary to conduct an inquiry into this matter by forming a committee.
संवैधानिक संस्थाओं पर अब तक तो हम राहुल गांधी को, संजय राउत को बयान देते हुए सुनते थे. चुनाव आयोग जैसी संवैधानिक संस्थाओं पर अगर वो उंगली उठा रही है तो वो अपनी हताशा दिखा रही है. कारण दिल्ली में यह है कि अवैध बांग्लादेशी रोहिंग्या भरी मात्रा में इन लोगों ने बनाए, उनको अपने वोट बैंक की तरह यूज करते हैं. लेकिन अगर इलेक्शन कमीशन ईमानदारी से अपना काम करे और बुरके के पीछे लोगों को, जो लोग छुपे हैं, उनको अगर चेक कर रहा है तो उनको आपत्ति क्यों है? अगर कोई अवैध बांग्लादेशी, अवैध रोहिंग्या दिल्ली में छुपता है, दिल्ली में कानून सुरक्षा को भी वो धत्ता बताता है, तो अगर ऐसे लोगों की चेकिंग होती है तो बुराई क्या है?
These are certainly grave allegations, and that too coming from the Chief Minister of Delhi ahead of the polls. And in fact, in this particular note that she has written to the Chief Secretary, she has alleged that in fact there are some officers of the Revenue Department were trying to influence the elections by removing the name of the voters from the voter list on a large scale. Now, in fact, she has also mentioned two of those officers' name as well. One being the DM of the Southwest Delhi, another being the SDM of Chanakyapuri. And now she has directed the Chief Secretary to, in fact, conduct an inquiry into this matter. And she has said that an inquiry committee should also be constituted for this. And here she has made it very clear and also attacked the central government, saying that the inquiry committee should only comprise of retired officers or retired judges from the courts, as officers in service can be influenced by the central government, potentially compromising the credibility of the investigation. So certainly big allegation coming from the Chief Minister, and she also attacking the central government, saying that the officers in service might get influenced by the central government, and that would put the credibility of the investigation in question. So we are still awaiting a response from the bureaucracy here, but certainly the war of words after this will intensify in the coming days.
The Supreme Court dismissed a plea seeking the reintroduction of paper ballots in elections and doing away with electronic voting machines. During the hearing, the petitioners said that even leaders like Chandrababu Naidu and Y.S. Jaganmohan Reddy had questioned EVMs tampering. To this, the bench said, what happens is, if you win the elections, EVMs or voting machines are not tampered. It is only when you lose.
Another one, and it's finding the same fate. Here, this time, of course, a different bench, a constitutional court, two-judge bench, dismissing this PIL of an evangelical Dr. Paul, who had, really tried to put his point forward, but the Supreme Court was not ready at this stage to entertain, and said very categorically, as you said, if Chandrababu Naidu, when a politician wins, then they blame, if they lose, they blame the EVM, and if they win, then they don't talk about it. And that's the case in Andhra Pradesh, where he gave the example of Jaganmohan at present. Having said that, of course, the issue is that it's still very much ripe. Today we saw, using the Constitution Day, the Congress, no less than the Congress president, raising this issue of the EVMs and saying very categorically that they will build a movement to go back to the ballot. How far they will be successful or not is a different matter, because umpteen amount of times in the Supreme Court, they have said that the EVMs are here to stay and the Election Commission is justified in using it.
Udaipur witnessed a row in the erstwhile royal family on Monday after the coronation of BJP MLA Vishwaraj Singh Mayar as the 77th Maharana of Mayar. A standoff with his cousin Dr. Laksharaj Singh Mayar followed at the gates of the historic city palace after Mr. Singh was refused entry into the palace. Here's a report.
At the gates of the city palace in Udaipur, a royal standoff. Newly anointed Maharana of Mayar, Vishwaraj Singh, accompanied by supporters in hundreds, sought entry into the locked gates of the palace for a temple darshan. But the palace gates were locked, and earlier in the day, notices in newspapers that explained the feud leading to the standoff. The forts and palaces and temples of the Mayar royals are administered by several trusts. In the 1980s, the then Maharana Bhagwat Singh gave control of these trusts to his younger son, Shriji Arvind Singh, effectively ousting Vishwaraj and his father from access to royal properties. And the palace proclaimed that unauthorized access to the temple would not be allowed. After a coronation at the historic Chittorgarh fort, where a former nobleman cut his thumb on a sword to anoint him in blood, Vishwaraj said it was a tradition to seek blessings of the family deity, the Duni Mata.
प्रशासन कह रही है हम क्या करें, गेट कैसे खोलें, तो अब आप खुद अंदाज लगा दें कि ये एक वाजिब कारण है या एक बहाना है। मेरा ये कहना है कि जो हम सिर्फ दर्शन के लिए जाना चाहते थे और जिला प्रशासन ये दर्शन का भी इंतजाम न कर पाई थी, क्योंकि कानूनी तरीके से, सामाजिक तरीके से, परंपरा तरीके से आप किसी भी नज़रिए से देखें तो ये सिर्फ एक दर्शन की बात थी और मेरा हक भी है वहाँ जाके दर्शन करना।
Facing police barricades and locked gates, supporters in hundreds began a sit-in on the streets of Udaipur. As tempers rose, stones were pelted and the situation threatened to go out of control. After attempts at negotiations failed, the district administration finally decided to take over the route to the temple.
कल दो पक्षों को लेकर एक विवाद की स्थिति पैदा हुई। विवाद ये था कि एक पक्ष के लोग जो है वो सिटी पैलेस में जाके धुनी के दर्शन करना चाह रहे थे। कल रात को लगभग 2 बजे के आसपास दोनों पक्षों में सहमति बनी और वो यहाँ से लोग वापस चले गए। और क्योंकि सिटी पैलेस के द्वारा गेट बंद थे, उन्होंने प्रशासन के कहने पे, सबके कहने पे गेट नहीं खोले, तो हम लोगों ने जो विवादित एरिया था, धुनी का एरिया था, उसको अपनी रिसीवरी में ले लिया है। रिसीवरी का मतलब ये होता है कि वो सरकार के कब्जे में रहेगा और आगे उस पर क्या करना है, किस प्रकार से आगे करना है, वो कानून व्यवस्था को देखते हुए, आज की परिस्थिति को देखते हुए उसका निर्णय लिया जाएगा।
मैं आपके घर के अंदर जाना चाहता हूँ और मेरे निजी अधिकार, मेरी जो निजी आस्था है, पर वो मैं आपके घर में पूरा करना चाहता हूँ। और इसके बारे में ना मैं आपको बताऊंगा, ना मैं आपसे पूछूंगा, ना मैं आपको इसके चीज के बारे में बताना उचित समझूंगा। अब ये गुंडागर्दी हमको जो है वो सहन करनी पड़ेगी और कानून और प्रशासन इस सोच की जो है वो मदद करेगा। गुंडागर्दी और कानून को हाथ में लेने से हम लोग कहीं नहीं पहुंचे। एकलिंग जी मंदिर कभी भी किसी के लिए भी जो है वो बंद नहीं हुआ। एकलिंग जी मंदिर पूरी तरीके से खुला है, सबके दर्शन के लिए जो है वो खुला है और सबको पधारना चाहिए, व्यवस्थित रूप से पधारना चाहिए। मंदिर जो है वो एक शक्ति प्रदर्शन की जगह नहीं होती।
The administration has begun proceedings to have the palace gates opened, and the Palace Trust has been served a notice to which they have to reply by Wednesday. With Vipin Solanki and Virendra Singh in Udaipur, in Jaipur, Harsha Kumari Singh, NDTV.
That's all we have for you. Keep watching NDTV for more news and updates.